Hey guys, welcome back to Resist the Grind. Today we are talking fire. We've moved inside since it's raining. I know that's a weird place to explore fire is in the house, but we need to build some fire starters before we get going on our fires. So we'll be building them out of things you can find around your house. We'll explore a couple different ways to make them, and then we'll also explore some ways to start the fire, maybe using a flint and steel, teach you guys how to do that. Some magnesium fire starting, common matches. I hope that you enjoy this video. Hope you find it useful on your next adventure when you go bike packing or backpacking or just hiking in the woods. We all think of fire as the place to socialize when you're around family going camping. So I hope you have a good time with that. For this project, we're going to make a couple different kinds of fire starters. We're going to try the kind that use the egg carton. We're going to fill them with some leftover lint from the dryer. Not that I'm saving it for anything. We're also going to try it with some wood shavings from some of the projects I've done. And those will get put into the egg carton, and I'll melt some wax, some old candles, and pour it on top. And then we'll cut them off and try those out. Another technique that I've seen is using these small cotton rounds from makeup, and you dip them into the wax and then lay them out to dry, and then use those. We used those on a bike packing trip. They worked wonderful. Some people have mentioned using some cotton balls with some petroleum jelly, or even another place had done the cotton pads with the petroleum jelly and make a packet or a sandwich with them. So we're going to try all of those out, and let's get started with the double boiler. I've got a pot. I'm going to put some water in it, an old tin can, and then we'll melt the candles. So you can see I've got my water in the pot with that tin can and all those old candles. We'll go ahead and turn it on and get it melting the wax. Okay, we've got our wax in the double boiler. The water is starting to boil, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit, and we'll keep it warming up and melting that wax down. And while we're doing that, we'll move on to the other kind of fire starter where we use the Vaseline and the cotton rounds and the Vaseline and the cotton balls. And we'll see how those work in a little bit. Okay, so you can't get much simpler than this as a way to make a fire starter. Just take your cotton ball, get it nice and ooey gooey, and then put it in your bag so that you have it ready to go. So we'll put it in a bag, and we'll try out a couple of these and see how they work. I personally think these are kind of messy, and when you're out camping, especially if you're bike packing or backpacking, you don't really want to get too messy, but we'll definitely see how these work and try them out comparatively to the rounds, which for these, you just take your round, take a small knife, and make a Vaseline sandwich. And again, you want to make sure that you're using 100% cotton, because that's what will catch the flame the easiest. So we'll make a couple of those. These, I think, are a little bit cleaner, just because you don't have as much to get your hands on while you're camping. Now, as I mentioned, we are melting the wax down for 3 different kinds of fire starters. The first one, we're going to take the lint that we had from our dryer, put it into the egg container, and then for the next kind, we're going to put sawdust in the egg container, and we'll be covering these with the wax, and the wax will provide the longer burn. And at the end, I'll tell you which of these I would recommend for which kind of camping you're planning to do. But I figure since I am making a mess, I might as well make up a big mess. Now you can see down in the bottom of the can maybe that the wax is starting to melt nicely. So we'll just keep letting that melt and we'll come back to it. And I think the first ones we will do will be the cotton rounds dipped into the wax, lay them out to dry, and then we'll pour the wax into the egg carton. We have gotten our wax fully melted. So next what we're going to do is take our pieces of cotton rounds, dip them in there, stir them around a little bit, let them drip dry. And again, you want to be very careful around hot wax. Make sure that you're moving very slowly, methodically, don't drip on yourself. And like I said, I have a sheet of parchment paper. I'm just going to lay them on. And since I'm doing this, I might as well make up a bunch of them. Plan them according to how long you plan to be camping. You know, if you need 1 or 2 of them per day. What we ended up doing was breaking them in half or cutting them in half and using 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. So you can see this right here would last quite a few days. But we'll go ahead and take that away and go to the egg carton now. I've gone ahead and placed the egg carton on a cookie sheet with some parchment paper just so that it doesn't drip all over. And we're going to take our wax and pour it in very carefully. I do have some pretty heavy duty gloves. Just put a nice even coat of wax over the lint and wood shavings. And we're just going to set those aside and let them cool and dry. Okay guys, we've moved outside. We're going to try out those fire starters in a minute. But first we're going to go through some of the basic ways to start a fire. Now you guys pay attention. Now if I'm being 100% transparent, when I'm at home doing fires in the backyard, I don't bother with flint and steel or any of the stuff. I just pull out my trusty plumber's torch and light the fire that way. But these things that we're going over are meant for when you're out camping. So the first one is going to be using flint and steel. I used to work at a historic site and would do this all the time. So what you need is you need some char cloth, which is made out of old linen shirts or cotton shirts. You need a steel and you need some flint. I've seen many people either hold the char cloth and then hit it. Now I've always done it where I hit the striker with the flint down onto the char cloth. And it is lit up a little bit. It's taken that spark, you put it inside of the tow. I've got tow. I've seen other people use cotton balls. And you just gently blow in it. And there you go, you've got fire. So next we're going to use the magnesium striker to pretty much do the same thing. It just creates a shower of sparks. So you just open up your cotton ball just a little bit, pull out your magnesium, and there you go. You can also do this with a bit of lint. And you could start putting your kindling right on top of it. So for the next one, all you need is a little bit of steel wool and a 9-volt battery. And just be careful. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't carry 9-volt batteries too often when I go camping. Next is what most people will probably end up using, which is either some matches. You can get wind-resistant ones, waterproof, all different kinds of matches. These are just the good old standby diamond matches, or a lighter. Generally, that's what most people will use out camping, unless they're having some fun. But I do feel like it is a great idea to have the knowledge of how to do these, and to make sure you bring a magnesium striker with you, just in case your matches get ruined, your lighter gets ruined, you lose it, you always have a backup. So now we are going to go ahead and try out some of those fire starters that we made. The first thing will be those rounds made from the cotton facial. I'm just going to go ahead and light it with a lighter. We did find that if you break it apart a little bit to expose some of the fabric, it works better. Now it's starting to go, and you have plenty of time with these to get your fire started. They burn nice and slow like a candle, and so you just let it burn. I'm actually just going to set that off to the side, and we'll just let it burn in the background. Next, we are going to go with the facial rounds that are cotton. There's no wax, there's just some Vaseline in the center. You can see that one started much easier than the one that was covered with wax, but I have a feeling it's going to burn much quicker. Next is the Ooey Gooey cotton ball. As I mentioned, these are ooey, they're messy, but I do think that they do burn well. And that Vaseline helps slow down the burn and burn somewhat like a candle. So next, what we're going to go ahead and do is we'll cut apart our egg carton. This does have the lint with the wax as well as the wood with the wax. So we're going to start with the lint, and we'll set it back here and start it up. What you have to do is start the outside of the egg carton and let it do the rest. So you can see that the ones with the wax and the Vaseline are still burning very nicely, as well as now this one is catching with the lint and the ducks are hoping to be part of my channel. We'll go ahead and cut off another one, this time with the wood. Similar to last, I'll just go ahead and get it started. So now, which of these would I use for what purpose? These ones worked amazingly well on our bike packing trip. We actually cut them in half, and you can see they do provide so much time for you to get a fire going. All of these techniques are probably best when you have a bit of humidity, when it's after it's been raining, and that way it gives you plenty of time to start your fire and get going to socializing with your friends. The key thing is to make sure that you've gathered some dry wood. When we were out camping on our bike packing trip, when we knew it was going to rain the next day, we actually got a gallon Ziploc bag and started putting the wood away for the next night. On that trip, we used one of these small stoves. It worked out really well. We just got one of these going, put it in the center, dropped the wood on, and we were cooking in no time. And the thing I really loved about this stove is the fact that it was really easy to put out. We weren't dealing with a big fire, we were dealing with a very small fire, easy to put out and get back on the road on our bikes in the morning. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to see more content like this, please make sure that you hit like and subscribe. Looks like I've got plenty of time to grab a hose and put these out. One last thing I did want to mention is if you are camping and space is not a luxury, then I would go ahead and use the ones made out of the egg carton. But if space is a luxury, I would definitely use the rounds or the cotton balls. Again, my personal preference is those little rounds. They just work so well.